Hey everybody, we are back with another Monday lesson. So sorry about last week, facing some technical difficulties there and was not able to produce a video, but here we are. All right, with another Monday lesson, and today we are coming over to the drum set that you can kind of see behind me here. And we're just going to talk about some pocket things, all right? We're going to talk about the hi-hat today. What we can do with the hi-hat to enhance our groove, to develop our groove, and to help us make some musical decisions, how we communicate with the band, how we communicate musically, non-verbally with the band also, and just help take some things to another level, add a different dimension, add some texture changes, all right? So let's just deal with quarter notes, eighth notes, 16th notes today, all right? How we can use those things to our advantage. Also, since we're dealing with the hi-hat, we're going to be dealing with some things like open hi-hat, closed hi-hat, some like half open kind of things just to create some different texture there, and also some choking and what those things do to our grooves, all right? So let's just start with the basics. Quarter notes, let's deal with a simple groove, all right? Just to start it off, check this out. All right, so like I said, a simple groove, starting with the basics. Now, everyone has heard that groove at some point in their life. Whether you're a musician or not, you have heard that groove somewhere. Now, for all my musicians, especially my drummers, you have either played this groove before, you've heard it, you played a song that was the groove that was played, all right? Now, what can we do with that, all right? Like I said, kept it very simple, right? 1 to 3 on the kick, 2 and 4 on the snare, all 4 on the hi-hat. All right. Now let's look at some things that we can do with the hi-hat, just to add some different texture and maybe talk about a little musical communication. Check out how I'm playing, and then I'll talk about it later. All right, so quite a bit happened in there, right? Not too difficult, but quite a bit did happen. All right, so I did some choking, did some building. Let's talk about the open closed concept here with the hi-hat for a second. All right, so what these things can communicate musically is different parts of the song, right? You could take it as if the song were to build, let's say from a verse to a chorus, right? On that chorus, you could open the hi-hat a little bit. All right, just to give it some texture, make it a little thicker, all right, make it a little more intense because we're at a heightened part in the song, right? Sometimes we may find ourselves in a situation where we don't have all the bells and whistles, we don't have all the toms, we don't have all the crashes and all this stuff to help us out and to help us kind of rock or jam out. All we may have is a kick snare and a hi-hat, or a kick snare hi-hat and a floor tom, or a kick snare hi-hat and a ride cymbal, right? And so just staying right there at home all you can do is just open up that hi-hat just a touch, and there you go, adding a whole new texture to the song. Now, some of the other things I did was kind of open up the hi-hat on either beat 4 or beat 1 of the groove, of the pattern. Now, oftentimes in music, we play 4-bar patterns, 8-bar patterns. Very rarely do we play 2-bar patterns. I just did it to save some time here. But something like that could help us denote the form. Right? It's everybody's job to keep time. It's everybody's job to keep the form, but there are other things that we can do, especially behind the drum kit here, to help communicate where we are in the tune, right? Where we are in the groove, where the 1 is. If somebody loses it, it happens. We're human, right? So just something like, let's say if you're playing an 8-bar form, on bar 8, right before you go back to bar 1, right? If it's a repeating thing, you can just kind of open that hi-hat real quick on 4 or on beat 1 of the 1, right, coming up to start the form over, just to say, hey, this is where we are, right? And it's just like it creates a little musical checkpoint non-verbally for the band, right? If you're playing in the rhythm section or if you're playing in a 4-piece kind of group where there's no conductor or anything like that to watch, that's just a simple way of saying, hey, here's where we are, right? Simple, effective way to communicate with the band, even to communicate with yourself, kind of where you are. If you're kind of keeping, the form mentally there, you can just say, hey, boom, there we go, right? All right, so that was quarter notes and some things we can do there, some texture changes, some things that we can do to build, just to add to the groove. Now, let's look at what eighth notes do to the groove, all right? So I'm going to start by playing some quarter notes, shift right into eighth notes. Let's look at what that does. All right, so from a theoretical standpoint, right, we know that eighth notes are twice as fast as quarter notes. And even in that little demonstration there, you saw maybe how some things got a little intense. That could even be another texture change, right, in the song or in the groove that you're playing to just kind of denote a different part of the song or a more intense part of the song, how just playing twice as fast on the hi-hat can instantly add something different. But even if you start there, right, that's what that sounds like, and it's good to keep that hi-hat nice and crisp, nice and firm, and keep those things even just to help some subdivision, help some time, and just even help groove, right? Now, let's look at accents and interbeats, all right? If I keep the quarter note accented, right, but I soften my touch on the interbeat, on the syncopation there, look at what that does to the groove. All right, how it kind of makes that quarter note stand out just a touch more by keeping something nice underneath, right, to help keep that groove nice and intense and feel good. Check this out. Right, nice tight hi-hat, really crisp inner beats, really outstanding quarter notes, right? Just to help us make that groove feel nice and good. All right, good stuff. Now, let's take it even further. Same concept, right? We know what opening the hi-hat a little bit can do, but now let's look at what choking it in different parts of the groove can do, right? And the quarter notes we looked at just denoting form, but with eighth notes, right, we kind of play around not only with the hi-hat and choking, but also with our kick and snare drum, and just look at what kind of things we can create, what kind of groupings we can create, just to help intensify our groove. All right, so let's look at some choking options. Couple more options there, right? Things that just make it feel good if you get to a certain part in the groove, right? Certain part of a solo or something like that, and the pocket is just feeling right. You can add just a little bit of texture change to it just to make some things stand out just a little bit more. All right, some options there, and even like you heard with my foot and some things I did with the snare, just to kind of help with setups and still communicating where we are in the form, right? Where the one is, where the form may start over. You have options. You have options, right? And I haven't used a splash, I haven't used a tom, I haven't used a ride cymbal, a crash, any of that, haven't done fill, but these are some simple things you can do to add texture to the groove. Now, let's talk about 16th notes, all right? Very rarely do we see drummers just going at it with 16th notes on the hi-hat. Does it happen? Absolutely. Can it feel good? Absolutely. Are there ways to do it? Absolutely. You keep it straight, you can swing them, so many things to do if you're just keeping straight 16th notes on the hi-hat. However, like I said, it is a little rare. Now, what does happen is we mess around with different 16th note groupings, right? So from a theoretical standpoint, yet again, we do know that 16th notes are twice as fast as 8th notes, right? So with those, we have some grouping options, right? We can do one andas, one e-ands. We can do kind of like some triplet things there with the hi-hat. All these things to make different grooves, and how we can interject some 16th note groupings even into our 8th note playings just to add some different options, or if you're trying to like maybe accent a horn line or accent a unison line without doing too much, a hi-hat is a great place to use some 16th note groupings. So let's check out some stuff. Whole lot of options there, right? interjecting 16th note, going straight forward with 16th note for a little bit, kind of doing some things, taking out the kick here and there, messing around with some patterns openly on the hi-hat just to add some groove and texture change to what you're already playing. And we're right at home. Again, no crashes, no rides, no splashes, no toms were used. Right here with the essentials, kick, snare, and hi-hat. So many options available at home. So take these tools, practice them, develop that pocket, develop that groove. Happy practicing. Of course, happy transcribing. Check out some of these pocket players that do some of these things, some of these drummers that you love that can hang out right at home and make stuff feel good. All right, I will see you next Monday.